Motorcycles in the quarter-litre segment are known to offer a good blend of performance and practicality. And if you were to browse through the list of motorcycles that are available in the segment, you'd notice that there's a naked, a faired motorcycle, a scrambler, a cafe racer, as well as a power cruiser. The only type of motorcycle that was missing in the segment all along is an adventure tourer. And today, we've got the KTM 250 Adventure to plug that void. So without further ado, let's tell you more about this motorcycle. What's apparent from the first glance is that the 250 Adventure looks similar to the KTM 390 Adventure. After all, it is based on the same platform and hence shares the same bodywork. KTM, however, has managed to play with the color schemes to try and differentiate the 250 and 390 ADVs. And I think they've done a good job. At present, the KTM 250 Adventure is available in two color schemes, black and orange. Between the two color options, I think this is the color that really stands out. I love the way the black contrasts with the orange panels, and I think it's really well executed. As is the case with the body panels, the riding position is the same as the 390s, and the more I ride adventure tourers, the more I've begun to appreciate the level of all-day comfort that they offer. One of the best things about an adventure tourer is the way you're seated on it. You sit in this upright and comfortable riding position. And in the case of the KTM 250 Adventure, this perch is wide and comfortable, which is great for spending long hours. In fact, the leverage offered by the wide handlebar makes it a cinch to maneuver the ADV through traffic, aided by the visibility offered by the tall seat. The only limiting factor to filtering through densely packed traffic is the wide handlebar. Also, the 250's 855mm seat height is similar to the 390's, and that poses a challenge for short riders, anywhere below 5 feet 7 inch, to get their feet firmly on the ground. Moving on now, while the design is the same as the 390, the 250 Adventure misses out on a few features and equipment to keep costs in check. The most obvious difference between the two motorcycles is that the 250 Adventure has a simple halogen headlamp instead of the 390 ADV's all-LED unit. The 250 does get a set of LED DRLs that flank the headlamp, but they aren't very bright in broad daylight. The second big difference is the 250's new LCD display instead of the color TFT cluster on the 390 Adventure. Sure, it can't match the vividness of the Bluetooth-enabled TFT, but this is the nicest LCD display we've seen on an Indian bike, and it has a thoughtful layout with big bold numbers that are easy to read. A button on the left of the screen allows you to scroll through the menu and also switch off ABS when riding off-road. Besides this, the 250 Adventure also doesn't get the 390's up and down quick shifter, traction control, and cornering ABS. Does missing out on a bucket full of features translate to a competitive price tag? Stick around till the end of the video to find out. The KTM 250 Adventure's 248.8cc engine is identical to the one in the KTM 250 Duke and the Husqvarna 250s, down to the state of tune. Paired to a 6-speed gearbox, it has the same gear ratios as well, and the end result is a familiar riding experience. While accelerating, the engine only begins to come alive post 4000 RPM, with a notable surge after 7500 RPM and all the way to the limiter. A V-Box test confirmed that despite weighing more than the Husqvarna 250s, the difference in acceleration is in night and day. Be it in the 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kph runs or the roll-on acceleration. This engine offers decent performance, but it isn't exactly thrilling for a 250cc motorcycle. At the same time, when you're riding in the city, the motor feels tractable, but out on the highway you really need to wring the throttle and let this engine rev out to extract maximum performance. Personally, I like the engine's happy to rev nature. However, the accompanying buzz one feels, especially in the pegs, isn't welcome. That said, the vibrations are the least between 80 to 100 kph, which is a decent cruising pace on our highways. The engine can hold 120 kph too, if you're willing to ignore the buzz. But anything beyond that number on the speedo causes the engine to feel slightly stressed. Nevertheless, the performance is adequate for most users or first-time ADV owners, and the tall 6th gear makes it easy to cruise at 100 kph. The other benefit of such gearing is good fuel efficiency. The 250 Adventure returned 40.2 kpl on the highway, with the figure dropping to 33.5 kpl while negotiating city traffic. With such figures, one should be able to extract a good distance from the 14.5 litre fuel tank in between fill-ups.
The KTM 250 Adventure uses the same frame, suspension and wheels as its elder sibling, the KTM 390 Adventure. The only difference between the two is that this motorcycle is shod with MRF tyres.
The Metzeler Tourances on the 390 Adventure cost more money, which would have driven up the 250's price tag. KTM has hence gone with the new MRF Meteor tyres that are par for the course, both on the road and down a gravelly trail.
It's only when you begin to push hard that you notice that these MRFs fail to offer the same level of confidence and grip that the Metzelers offer.
This is apparent especially when you're leaned into a corner. Overall, the tyres are decent, but we'd like to mention that due to the ongoing tyre import issues, KTM is offering the same MRFs on the 390 Adventure, and while the Metzelers are expected to make a comeback on that motorcycle, the 250 Adventure could do with the Metzeler hoops as well. In terms of ride quality, the 250's firm yet absorbent ride is exactly the same as the 390's and is comfortable enough for the most part, with the occasional really bad bump making its presence felt. Coming to the brakes, this is another chink in the 250 Adventure's armor, despite running the same brake sizes as the 390 Adventure. As with the other 250s, the ADV doesn't get the sintered pads from the 390. The result is a dull feel at the lever and a bit of brake fade under repeated hard braking. That's not to say that the brakes are terrible, and they actually work well within their limits.
On the whole, this is a good 250cc motorcycle, but the only thing that is stopping us from going all out and recommending it is the price tag.
At Rs 2.48 lakh, the 250 Adventure should have been roughly Rs 15 to 20,000 cheaper to make for a tempting option. At the current price, it has no direct competition but sits tantalizingly close to the BMW G310 GS and even the KTM 390 Adventure that offers so much more power and features for an extra Rs 55,000.
In the end, if you can make the stretch to the 390 Adventure, we'll highly recommend that you go and buy that motorcycle. But if budgets is a constraint and you need an adventure touring motorcycle for less money, then this is an interesting proposition.